Jordan. Open. Chicago with the lead.
James against Porter. Drive, spins, gets inside. It's good. It's 40,000 for LeBron James.
Yes. We now have another episode of the never-ending debate between Michael Jordan and LeBron James for the title of the greatest of all time, or the GOAT. You've seen this a lot of times on ESPN because they can't stop talking about it. But we're here to give you our insight on this debate and our thoughts on who is actually the true GOAT of the NBA. For many years, there was only one GOAT in the eyes of every basketball fan in the world. We're talking about Michael Jordan, the guy they call his airness. And there's an actual reason why he was once the undisputed greatest of all time. Michael Jordan changed the game of basketball forever as early as his rookie season when he turned into a highlight reel scoring sensation. He was hitting tough shots, floating in the air, and soaring above defenders for incredible dunks and feats of athleticism. There was never a guy quite like him. Julius Erving was just as athletic, but he did not have the complete scoring package that Jordan came with. MJ eventually turned into the most iconic player of the 80s and 90s, winning scoring titles, individual awards, and championships along the way. It may be true that he struggled to win titles during the 80s, but he was more of a one-man wrecking crew back then. The 90s, however, were different because he completely dominated that era, winning championships against Magic Johnson, Clyde Drexler, Charles Barkley, Gary Payton, and Karl Malone. Even nearly 2 years away from basketball did not dampen his mystique and greatness. He merely evolved as he aged and became more skillful.
Catch it, now throws it back to Michael. Caught it with one hand from 15.
From his status as an athletic marvel capable of dunking on everyone, Jordan turned into the master of the mid-range game and an expert at using his footwork inside the perimeter. On top of that, he hit some of the most clutch and memorable shots in history, inspiring a lot of fans and players to emulate his game. That was why a lot of Jordan clones rose up during the 90s and 2000s, because he basically defined an era and changed the way wings were meant to play. Guys like Kobe Bryant, Tracy McGrady, and Vince Carter were all similar to Jordan in one way or another. But more importantly, he was a true winner. Mike went on to win 6 championship trophies, becoming undefeated in the NBA Finals. So, even after he retired, and also even after those forgettable 2 years he had in Washington, he was still the most iconic player of his era. From the 90s to the 2010s, Michael Jordan was the true GOAT of the NBA, and no one, not even Kobe, came close to his incredible achievements and status as the greatest individual player the sport had ever seen. But that was when LeBron James steadily climbed his way into the GOAT conversation. When LeBron entered the league in 2003, he was crowned the heir to the NBA throne because he was that good. He was dubbed the King because he had everything the NBA needed from a generational superstar.
14 for the Lakers. LeBron! Look out below!
James was big, athletic, skilled, and incredibly charismatic. Whatever Jordan could do, he could do as well. Sometimes he was even better at what MJ did. James was simply the complete package. He could score in bunches, rebound the ball at a high level, and make passes like a point guard. It also helped that he could dunk over anyone because he's 6'9", weighs 250 pounds, runs the floor like a freight train, and jumps higher than anyone not named Michael Jordan. And he made sure to get his name into the GOAT conversation by winning MVPs and championships. Ever since winning 2 titles during his stint with the Miami Heat from 2010 to 2014, LeBron was already the GOAT in a lot of people's eyes. He was already a 4-time MVP and a 2-time champion. Though his MVPs and rings still paled in comparison to Jordan's, he was already arguably a more complete player at that point in his career. But what truly allowed people to see his greatness was when he led the underdog Cleveland Cavaliers to a championship win over the 73-9 Golden State Warriors during the 2016 NBA Finals. After that, he was well within the conversation, with a lot of people claiming he had already surpassed Jordan. For the first time in Michael's post-NBA career, there was now someone else who had a legitimate case for the GOAT title. The scary part was that LeBron wasn't done yet. He continued his career deep into his 30s, joining the Los Angeles Lakers in 2018 and winning a championship with them in 2020.
James drives, gets inside, running layup. It's good, and a foul.
With 4 rings on his fingers, James was only 2 rings away from Jordan's championships. But it was not all about chasing rings, but also about creating a lasting legacy that probably no one in the history of the NBA could ever surpass. You see, what made James special during his Laker run was his longevity. LeBron is now 40 years old, but is still playing better than 95% of the NBA. He looks like he's 30, even when compared to the much younger players in the league. And on his way to reaching more than 2 decades of playing in the NBA, he surpassed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for career points scored. Before, no one thought anyone could break Kareem's record. You'd have to be incredibly consistent as a scorer for 20 years to come close to beating that record. James did that and then some. He was the picture of consistency and excellence for more than 2 decades, eventually breaking Kareem's record in February 2023 and becoming the first player to score over 40,000 career points. So when you look at it, LeBron has the numbers, the rings, the achievements, and the longevity of a true GOAT. Normally, he would already be the uncontested greatest of all time at this point in his career. But some people still believe he hasn't surpassed Jordan. Well, for starters, critics still think James is more of a loser than a winner. He's 4-6 in the NBA Finals, which means he's lost the championship more than he won it. That is the usual argument people use when saying Jordan is still the GOAT. MJ is 6-0 in the Finals, and last time we checked, 6 is still greater than 4, even if LeBron did indeed reach the Finals 10 times. But that's not the only thing critics say against James. They also say he lacks the clutch genes and the killer instincts that true GOATs like Jordan and Kobe have. There are times when he would rather pass the ball to his teammates or fail to carry his team on his back during clutch situations. On the other hand, Mike would have taken every clutch shot possible because he's not afraid of the big moments. Of course, LeBron fans would say that he has more than surpassed Jordan in almost everything except MVPs and rings. But those aren't the only metrics of success. If that's the case, Bill Russell would still be the GOAT. So, Jordan may have the rings and the undefeated finals record, but LeBron literally has almost everything over him. He's not a better scorer, but he has more career points scored because of his longevity. And he's also the better rebounder and passer. Stats matter, and James is undoubtedly one of the best when it comes to filling the stats sheet. The scary part is that he's still climbing through the record books and could very well break more records along the way to solidify his GOAT campaign. From a numbers standpoint, we do agree that LeBron might be the GOAT. It's not easy playing in the NBA from 18 to 40, but James did it and still has the fire of greatness fueling him. Some superstars don't even play past 34, but LeBron is still playing like one of the game's true elites at 40. No one has come close to that kind of sustained excellence. Even Kareem was no longer an elite deep into his 30s. So when you add the numbers and the sustained level of greatness, James is the king of GOATs. But there's still an argument that's in favor of Jordan. You see, the NBA wasn't as big as it was before MJ came into the picture. Sure, it was growing because of the Magic Johnson and Larry Bird rivalry, but it was only when his airness arrived that the game truly became a global spectacle. Jordan's flashiness, highlight reel plays, and aesthetically pleasing style turned basketball into a fun sport to watch. More people started watching the NBA because of him. If you grew up during the 90s, you probably started watching this league because of Jordan's magnetism. He is simply the most iconic player the league has ever seen, not only because of how he helped the sport grow, but because his name still resonates throughout the league decades after he retired. Jordan changed the shoe game and the culture, turning signature shoes into a big part of what makes the game so special. His Jordan brand is still one of the most iconic sneaker brands in the world, all because of how iconic he was as a player.
Chicago with possession. Nice cross-court feed. Jordan going in, throws it up.
Meanwhile, if you look at the way shooting guards and small forwards have played the game since the 90s, you can see a lot of Jordan in their styles. Players like Kobe Bryant, Tracy McGrady, Dwayne Wade, DeMar DeRozan, Paul George, Devin Booker, and Jason Tatum all played similarly to Jordan. You can trace a lot of their moves to MJ himself. Basically, compiling stats is one thing, but changing the game forever is an entirely different thing. That's also the reason why Stephen Curry is regarded as one of the GOATs in the game, although not at the same level as Jordan and James. You can see people wanting to play like MJ and even Curry, but James doesn't have the same effect on the sport. Well, to be honest, not everyone can be an athletic freak at 6'9". But you probably get the point. So, at the end of the day, even though LeBron will forever have the stats and quite possibly the individual achievements in his favor, Jordan's impact on the game as the single most iconic player in history still reverberates throughout the league. James will retire as the GOAT of stats, achievements, and sustained greatness. but it's going to be tough for anyone to surpass MJ's status as the most iconic GOAT.